The night always holds its own mysteries. When everyone is asleep, when the house is silent, something awakens in the darkness. Small sounds previously unheard, shadows that seem to move in the corners of the room, and the strange feeling that we are not truly alone. Many people experience strange occurrences when they wake up in the middle of the night to go to the toilet. Most may just be tricks of the mind, reflections of light, the sound of the wind, or simply unfounded fear. But for others, there is something more real. Something that lurks, waiting in the dark, and anticipates the moment when we are most vulnerable. Tonight, Michael will experience a fear he never imagined before. A short trip to the toilet will turn into a nightmare he will never be able to forget. At 2:30 in the morning, Michael woke up with an uneasy feeling in his stomach. His body ached from holding it in for too long, but he was reluctant to leave the warmth of his bed. The house was old, and at night, every corner creaked like a living thing. But he had no choice, he had to go to the bathroom. He reluctantly pushed aside his covers and stepped onto the cold wooden floor. The dim light from the street lamp outside offered only a sliver of illumination to the hallway. Everyone else in the house was asleep, and the silence felt oppressive. Michael walked slowly towards the bathroom at the end of the hallway. As he passed the dark living room, he caught something out of the corner of his eye. A shadow, tall, still, standing near the sofa. He froze. His breath hitched. Slowly, he turned his head. But when he looked directly at it, the shadow was gone. Swallowing hard, he continued his trek, trying to convince himself it was just his imagination. The bathroom door creaked open, and he hurried inside, locking it behind him. As he sat on the toilet, he tried to push aside the lingering fear. But then, his blood froze. The voice came from outside the door. He held his breath, listening. Maybe his brother was playing a prank on him. But then, a whisper, low and hoarse. Michael, open the door. His heart pounded. It wasn't his brother's voice. It was deep, strange, and wrong. He hugged his knees, refusing to move. The seconds ticked by like an eternity. Then, the doorknob shook violently. Michael gasped, his body stiff with fear. The shaking stopped, replaced by a long, heavy silence. Then, a knock. Slow. Heavy. He closed his eyes tightly. This wasn't real. This was just his imagination. But then, the door lock clicked. Click. The bathroom door opened slowly. Michael turned his head immediately, his breath holding. There was no one outside. The hallway was empty, dark, and silent. However, in the darkness, he saw something moving. A very large and tall black shadow. It wasn't human. Suddenly, a voice was heard behind him. Michael, please, help me. Michael turned his head in panic. It was Sarah's voice, his roommate who was staying over tonight. Sarah looked pale, her eyes wide with fear. Sarah? What's wrong? Michael asked, trying to move towards her. But as he took a step closer, Sarah slowly backed away, staring at him with a deepening look of terror. Don't come near me, Michael. Don't. Suddenly, Sarah's body swayed backward as if pulled by something unseen. She fell, and her face contorted into something almost unrecognizable, like a face frozen in a grip of terrifying fear. Michael ran toward Sarah, but before he could reach his roommate, a large hand emerged from the darkness, grabbing Sarah with incredible speed. With a speed he couldn't comprehend, the hand pulled Sarah into the darkness, leaving Michael standing stunned and terrified. Sarah! Michael shouted, but there was no answer. The darkness swallowed the house, as if everything living was beginning to disappear. And when he turned around, his face met with a tall figure with eyes that were completely pitch black and a smile that stretched wide, too wide, unnaturally wide. The creature opened its mouth slowly, its voice a terrifying whisper. "You're next, Michael." What should have been a simple trip to the toilet turned into an unimaginable nightmare. Michael and Sarah experienced something that defied logic, something lurking in the darkness, waiting for them when they were most vulnerable. Now, Sarah is gone, swallowed by an unknown shadow. Michael stands alone on the precipice of fear, facing something not human. Is this just a nightmare? Or is there something in this old house that has always been lurking, waiting for people to let their guard down in the dead of night? One thing is certain, that night was not just about going to the toilet. And if one night you wake up and feel like you're being watched, don't look down the dark hallway, because something might be there, smiling, waiting for you.